Hey folks, I just want to welcome you back to Mr. Cast Iron, and today we're going to be showing you how to cook burgers on the stove, how in a large 12-inch cast iron skillet. And of course our skillet is seasoned, as you can see, but what we're going to do, we're going to start out with some good 80-20 ground beef. I've got about 2 pounds of ground beef here that we're going to patty up. I've got some Wagyu beef tallow that I'm going to use to put in the skillet to kind of give us a little bit of oil and fat to cook in, because I don't like to use it with a dry skillet. I've got some SPG, salt, pepper, and garlic. We've got some French mustard we're going to add to it. And then we've got some just some old American cheese that we're going to put on there. And Teresa and I both like these Bunny Bread Deluxe buns, so we're going to do that. But what we're going to do first, we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and get my skillet started to heat up a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of Wagyu beef fat just to get us a little bit in the bottom, and just so we don't have a dry skillet to start cooking in. And while we're doing that, I'm going to get my gloves on here, and we're going to get ready and patty this up. And once we get those pattied up, we're going to get ready and cook these off. All right, folks, there's a couple things that I want to share with you here, some tips that will help you have some of the juiciest hamburgers that you'll ever have. And number one, I'm just going to kind of squeeze off about half of this, which would be about a pound, and I'm going to double that, or divide that by 2, which is going to make us about 8-inch burger, which is a pretty good sized burger. It's probably a little too big actually. And but what you want to do is you just want to kind of mash these down without squeezing them too bad, because it'll make them stiff. And you just want to kind of loosen them out there a little bit, about the thickness that you want. I usually make them about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then the next thing you want to do, basically, once you get these done like this, is you want to take your SPG. I'm going to have to get my gloves off here. And you want to definitely season both sides. That way it helps to get the flavor of the salt, pepper, and garlic down into your burger while it's cooking. And we're going to be cooking in the cast iron skillet on medium-high heat. You don't want real high heat to do this. You just want these to slow cook for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. All right, well, we got our burgers pattied up, and a while ago I said these were 8-inch burgers. Actually, what I meant was 8-ounce burgers, and we got everything seasoned on both sides. We got our SPG fairly heavy because we like the seasoning and everything, and it just gives you good flavor. The other thing I failed to mention earlier too was the 80-20 hamburger. The reason why you want a good 80-20 cut of hamburger is because it makes your burgers more juicy, and that's what we're after. So I'm going to go ahead, the skillet's hot, we've got the oil in there, we're going to place these in here, and you hear that sizzle. It's kind of like cooking a steak. You know, you get your hamburger, of course it is steak, it's ground beef. And so now that we've got our steak or burgers in the cast iron skillet, we're going to basically just cook them for about 4 minutes on each side before we flip them. Now, where a lot of people make a big mistake about trying to achieve a juicy hamburger is they want to flip them too many times, and also they want to take and mash all the juice out. So you don't want to constantly be mashing on the hamburger, because that gets all the juice out and it ends up drying out your hamburger. So just let them set and cook just like you would a steak. Let it cook for 3 or 4 minutes on one side before you decide to flip it. Okay, well, it's been about 4, almost 5 minutes, and one thing I forgot to tell you earlier, a lot of times I'll poke a little indention into my hamburger, and what that does, that keeps them from puffing up and getting real fluffy and rounded. That's just a little trick that I failed to tell you about earlier. So you can see the sear on this, how that looks when you just leave it on one side for a little while. Now, you can actually mash this down just a little bit, but you don't want to mash it much, because like I said, we want to keep it juicy, and if you mash it too much, you're going to mash all the juice out. So we're going to let this cook for not as long as we did the other side. We're going to do this for about 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes, and then the last minute or so we're going to put our cheese on it, so the cheese will melt onto it. All right, well, it's been a little over 3 minutes, almost 4 more minutes on this one side. I went a little longer because these are a little bit thicker burgers. But what I want to do at this point is basically just lay my cheese on here. Now, one thing I did too, I want you to know, you can take an instant read thermometer and see what your temperature is running on these. For a medium, you want 145 or so, but a well done, you're going to want it to be up around 160 or so. And so these are about right for me. And we'll cook one over here for Teresa. She likes hers a little more well done. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my cheese on here, and for the last minute I'm going to cover this so this will kind of steam the cheese. Okay, well, it's been about a minute or a little less, and so you can see that the cheese has melted down onto these burgers real well. Now, it's optional whether you want to pull these out and let them drain on a paper towel or something. I'm just going to put these straight onto here. And I'm going to continue to let this other burger cook for Teresa because she likes hers well done. And I like mine not quite as done. But anyway, as you can see, that's how to make a juicy burger right there. And now that is a good medium to medium well juicy hamburger cooked on the stove in a cast iron skillet. And so, folks, you can see how juicy that is. The juice is just running out of clear juice. There's no blood to that. That's just clear juice. And that is a juicy hamburger right there.